It's 20 minutes to 6 a.m. Nigerian time. And today's date is Friday, 15th August 2025. And I'm here to talk about a few things, a few issues, as it concerns our survival as Nigerians. Because the way I look at it right now, we have become an endangered race of a people. We have become an endangered nation of people. Most people don't understand what when we say nation, most people mistake nation for a country. But if you are grounded in the study of government and political science, you will agree with me that a nation is not the same as a country. And when we say a state, we're talking about a country. At the international level, a country is referred to as a state. But at the country level, a state, it's an integral part of the country. You can say the Igbo nation, you can say the Yoruba nation, you can say the Hausa nation. A nation, the term nation represents a people, but it's not sovereign. A nation represents a people, but it's not sovereign. Sovereignty is what makes a country. Sovereignty means there is no external interference. Sovereignty means decision can be taken and there will be no interference because the country can decide and do things on their own as a country without anyone coming from different locations to interfere and say you cannot do this. That's the difference between a country and a state. The Nigerian state, the Nigerian country, from the beginning, from the amalgamation, from the 1914 British amalgamation of the old Eastern and Western protectorates into one entity called Nigeria. That I think is where the problem started from, the 1914 amalgamation of what we call Nigeria. I think that's where our problem started. And I've always maintained this position that if the entire United Kingdom was amalgamated the way Nigeria was amalgamated in 1914, they wouldn't have survived like we're doing. Because we've been surviving since 1914, we've been surviving, even though the idea is for us to not survive, but we're surviving. If the entire United Kingdom was amalgamated like Nigeria, that place wouldn't have seen the light of the day. That place would have crumbled, But they were able to split it into about four nations, and these four nations are also states because they have their sovereign powers. Each of these states have sovereignty. Each of that nation have sovereignty. You have the Wales, you have the Northern Ireland, you have the Scotland, you have England. Each of these nations have their own sovereignty. They have national flag. They have national football teams. They are present at world sports competitions. They attend as individual countries, but yet they are all under one umbrella called the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is represented by a flag as well. So it's about a total of 5 flags. But in this location called Nigeria, people have been maimed, massacred for trying to do what was done in the United Kingdom. A lot of people are so mentally dwarfed to even understand why we are suffering the way we are suffering. A lot of people are not interested in why we are suffering the way we are suffering. They don't care. Because if you care, you would know. The concept of knowing comes from caring. You must care about an issue before you can know about that issue. If you don't care, you won't even think about it. So you must care about an issue for you to understand. Nigeria was never established to function. Nigeria was never established to, become one of those countries where you want to go to. In Europe, America, Asia, Middle East, Nigeria was not established to become one of those places. Nigeria was more like a company, and still is. Nigeria is more like a business for Britain. It started off as a company, was purchased by the British government, renamed. It was Unilever, renamed Nigeria. And in Nigeria today, Unilever still exists. A lot of people don't know these things. If Nigeria becomes a country for real, a lot of things will go wrong in Europe. There will be hunger. There will be starvation. A lot of you don't understand this. If you amalgamate United Kingdom the same way the British amalgamated Nigeria, nothing will happen there. It will become more or less an animal farm, like we see here. Just a couple of days ago, one of the participants of the past Big Brother Naija reality show by name Fina received her unfair share of the Nigerian situation. Her younger sister was involved in an avoidable car accident. She was almost crushed by a Dangote trailer, and allegedly the driver, the young boy driving the trailer, has no driver's license, allegedly. And me and you, we know that in a sovereign state, in a real country, you wouldn't dare drive without a driver's license. They no born you well. You no go fit try am. I've been to Dubai. I've been to Indonesia. I've been to North and South Cyprus. The north part of Cyprus, Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRNC, is controlled by Turkey, and the south side is controlled by Greece. I've been to both sides, and I can boldly tell you that in my experience in all of these locations, I realized that it's almost a death sentence trying to do any of these things, driving whatever without a driver's license, whatever it is, be it the vehicle, be it the utility vehicle, like the trailers, be it equipment, heavy duty vehicle, be it truck, be it bicycle, be it motorbike, whatever it is, you must be licensed to drive. You must be licensed to drive. Even the bicycle, there are rules. You may not need a license to drive a bicycle, but there are rules. You don't drive your bicycle every corner of the country. But in Nigeria, people are driving without driver's license. You know, your life is at the mercy of those driving. Anything can happen to you. You can be sleeping in your house and someone runs into your house with their car, whatever they are driving. People pick up a vehicle without driver's license, without a formal training on how to drive, without attending driving school. People can just begin to drive. It is the system that enables these things. The system enables these things. That an elected political official can divert public funds in billions and trillions. It is the system that enables that. In some of the locations of the world where there is true sovereignty, the system does not permit you to do that. But in Nigeria, we are at the mercy of the politician's discretion, whatever the politician decides to do. That's what I mean by we are at the mercy of a politician's discretion. If a politician decides to use his constituency's funds, the funds meant to develop his constituency, if he decides to use it for his personal business, for his personal investment, the system permits that. And then the leaders in Nigeria will boldly tell you, oh, go and hold your governor accountable. Oh, question your governor. Oh, question your senator. Oh, question your House of Reps member. In Nigeria, the government allocates funds. They map out funds and put it under the control of politicians. And the system allows them to do whatever they wish with these funds. And then we are expected or required to follow up the politician and ask him or ask them what they are doing with these funds, as if it's our duty. It's the duty of the system. A working system does not allow you to even have direct access to funds meant for development. In Nigeria, politicians have direct access to funds meant for development. I don't know if you actually understand what I'm saying. You shouldn't have direct access to funds meant for development. It shouldn't be at your discretion to do with those funds whatever you wish. And then we are coming to drag you to say, why did you do this? And then the government is saying you will go to court, and then you diverted $800 billion or billion naira, and then you're taken to court and the court grants you a bail of 500 million, and then you pay the 500 million from the $8 billion or naira, and then you go home. And the cases are adjourned, and then knocked out. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So what's going on is you loot as much as possible, wait for the government to sue you, then you wait for them to grant you bail, because they will, and then you cut out the bail amount, give it to them, then go with all the funds. It is the system that makes this possible. That you have people running around in the bush, in the forest, people running around, maiming people, displacing people, burning people's houses, driving them away from their ancestral homes and all that. It is the system that makes it possible. That you have religious leaders shifting the reality of our people, collaborating with crude politicians, and selling hope and selling God to our people, amassing wealth, accumulating wealth, gathering from the little that the people are supposed to feed themselves with. That these religious leaders are able to do these things without resistance is because the system enables them. So everything we're passing through, everything that we are passing through today in Nigeria is because of the system. And one would ask, what is this system that enables all of these things? I came back from Republic of Cyprus, the Greek side that is under Greece. I came back from Cyprus 2024, August. Do you know that since that time, to urinate along the road, to throw away plastic bottle after drinking water, you just normal Nigerian thing, you drink water, you fling the bottle wherever. You are pressed, you're walking along the road, you just, begin to urinate anywhere. Since I came back, to do these things don't work for me anymore. When I'm pressed, I look around and I want to do the normal Nigerian thing, just fall out my thing and pee anywhere. I'm feeling like, I'm feeling abnormal about it, just because of the time I've spent in Republic of Cyprus. Because over there, the system doesn't allow you to do that. Over there, from pillar to post, you see a public restroom. The public restroom are even cleaner than the ones in people's apartments. Cleaners are there 247. There are people who prefer to use the public restrooms in overseas because of how clean it is always. The system doesn't allow you to do whatever you want. Nobody's begging you, nobody's pleading with you. The system has everything under control. It's not like Nigeria, where someone's job is to preach to you to do the right thing. Over there, the system will force you to do the right thing because you can't even do otherwise. It's not the same. Now in Nigeria, you don't do things the way they're supposed to, because whatever you do, anything goes. In Nigeria, the system was deliberately, compromised so the location doesn't work. Because if the location works, there will be hunger and poverty in Europe. Let me tell you something. The 1914 amalgamation of the old Eastern and Western protectorates, which is now Nigeria, that amalgamation was done to prevent the many nations from becoming nation states. Nigeria alone, if we are to go by the colonial structure of nationhood, if we are to go by the colonial system, Nigeria alone should produce about its heavy development, its powerful development for the continent of Africa. Before the invasion, before the Europeans invaded us, before the Arab world invaded us, many people think it's just the Europeans that came. Before the Europeans came, the Arabs came. Yeah. Before the European colonization era, there was the Arab colonization era. Before all of this happened, we had kingdoms. We didn't know what the state was. We didn't know what the country was. We didn't practice any of those democracy and all that. What we had was strong military system, kingdoms. Go through your phone, Google African kingdoms before the era of colonization. Just type it like this simply. African kingdoms. If you don't even write all that I've said, just say African kingdoms, you will see. We had kingdoms. You have the kingdom of Saudi Arabia up until today. You have the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You still have kingdoms. In the Arab world, you still have kingdoms today. In the Asia world, you still have kingdoms. When you hear, when you are told that Africa is the cradle of civilization, you think it's a joke, right? Whatever thing they are doing in Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East, whatever thing you think they are doing there was done in Africa first. Yeah. When the Europeans invaded, they saw ideas that they had in their country, which they left to invade us, and then they came and they saw far much advanced artifacts, ideologies. You can imagine iron smelting was traced to Nsukka. If you go to Google, you'll see a lot of articles, but it is dominated by information saying that this ideology, iron smelting, began in Leja, Nsukka, in the eastern part of Nigeria. When the British invaded the Benin Kingdom, they saw sculptures, gold sculptures, bronze sculptures. Who smelted these sculptures? Who smelted the materials used in the production of these sculptures? The bronze, the gold. Nobody did these things for us. We were doing these things on our own as a people. When they came, they saw these things. These things were here before they came. So when we're talking about certain issues, some people who don't study anything, some mentally dwarfed people who will say, oh, you're speaking English and you're saying, oh, you're using a phone produced by these same people. I don't know what to tell this type of Africans. You know, a colonized African is worse than anything you can think of. They say, oh, they think it's an excuse. That's the kind of excuse they make when they want you to leave them alone. You know, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is very peaceful. When they want you to allow them enjoy their ignorance, they say, you're saying this thing with speaking English. You're saying this thing using a phone produced by these same people. Where were you when we were smelting iron? Where was Britain? Where was America? Where was Asia? Where was the Arab world when we were smelting iron? You have pyramid in Egypt, Kemet. It became Egypt later. It was originally Kemet, owned by Africans. It's an African land. It's an ancestral African land. You have pyramids all over the world. You have pyramids. In Igbo land, we have the Nsude pyramid. It's quite unfortunate that human beings in Africa lost the science and technology behind these pyramids. Nobody can explain it today, what it was used for, but I know it was used for something far more advanced than whatever we're doing today. People think we have technology today, but they don't know that hundreds of thousands of years ago, millions of thousands of years ago, if at all, billions of years ago, the technology, the science was far more advanced. What we're doing now is just we are relearning and copying and modifying things we don't understand. The ones we don't understand, we say it's spiritual and all that. A lot of things are very physical. Nobody today knows what the pyramid was used for. But we had pyramids in eastern regions of this location called Nigeria. Ask yourself, the bronze sculptures, the Nsibidi writing, an official written language. When you go to mud houses in the southeast, you will see inscriptions, you will see drawings. It's a language, written language in Nsibidi. It looks like Japanese, Chinese, Korean writings. And then you are being told you are told that the Japanese, the Koreans, the Chinese, that these are descendants of Africa. And you say, they don't smoke Igbo. Africans who are lazy to study, they have a way of gaslighting you into doubting your own intelligence and research. You spend time to study these things, just like as I'm talking to you today. After today, it's history. And someone will want to convince themselves that whatever I'm saying now, it did not happen. It happened. That's why it's history. That's why it's history. So, we were a very advanced and civilized race of a people before we got invaded. I don't know where you're getting all those nonsense information from. That without the Europeans we wouldn't have done this, without the Arabs we wouldn't have done this and that. I don't know where you got all those gullible ideas from, those gullible information that you use in consoling your ignorance. You take solace in ignorance and you don't want anybody to, remind you of how gullible you are. So you ward off anybody that comes to say anything contrary to that your blissful state of mind, that ignorant state of mind that makes you happy. Anybody that wants to talk you out of it, you attack, you say very weird things to chase them away. We were very advanced, developing in our own pace. Every part of the world was developing in their own pace. It doesn't mean they were not developing. We would have been something you wouldn't have believed. I'm telling you, they came, they saw these things. The democracy the Europeans are talking about, jumping up and down, when they invaded, they saw democracy. They saw parliamentary system of government. Yeah. They saw delegated authority. People will sit down and discuss their affairs. They saw kings dressed in gold from head to toe. They saw things that they were only imagining. They saw things that were only in their imagination. They invaded Africa and they saw those things in reality. They didn't believe them. What did they do? They went back and redesigned a better plan. They came back again and executed those plans. What were those plans? Take away these people's cultural belief, take away their spirituality, demonize their spirituality. How many of you have seen the letter from King Leopold to the early missionaries? How many of you have seen that letter? Where he was telling the missionaries that these people, they know God. Look at what to do to them, change their orientation, make sure they don't believe in these things anymore. I mean, how else do you conquer people if not by distracting their cultural belief, their spiritual belief? How else do you conquer people? They knew what they were doing. There is no perfect culture. There is no perfect practice anywhere in the world. We had our own imperfections in our practices, like every other part of the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? We were imperfect in our cultural practices, like every other part of the world. Before you come and say twins, they were buying twins. Go and study about the Inca tribe, INCA, the Inca tribe. You will not believe it. Their practices back then. If you study, you would know that we didn't even have much imperfections in our cultural practices. What would you say? Is it not the case of the twins? Something that was happening in just a particular section of our location. They generalized it that we were buying twins. Just like some parts of Asia eat certain things. Would you say the entire Asia eats those things? Generalization is madness. When you generalize things, you're crazy. So today you see Africans getting involved in this same religious brainwashing of their own people because it's fetching them money. You are brainwashing your own people. They say we have always been our own problem from time immemorial. This is what we do. One thing I've noticed overseas, one thing I've noticed among Europeans, Arabs, and all these people is they try to remove danger from their people. No, for their people. When they see danger, they try to save their people from danger. But Africans, when we see danger, we embrace it for the sole purpose of using it against our own people. Foreign religions are a great danger to our survival as Africans. The two foreign religions that invaded us, one from the Arabs, one from the Europeans and Americas, they are great dangers to our survival. You as an African should help in returning those ideologies back to them. But you are using them against your own people. So everything that the invaders did worked for them. They took time to program these things and it worked for them. You can imagine we are normalizing abnormalities. People go to religious houses to say what is wrong with them instead of going to traditional doctors or medical doctors. They go to religious houses to talk about their health. It's a shift of reality. Most of you don't understand how dangerous those two religions are to us. That people now wake up, leave their house, go to a religious house to talk about a health issue. Someone is saying that he's healing the sick, that is making the cripple walk, that is making the deaf to hear, making the blind to see. And we have blind people scattered all over the place. We have crippled people all over the place. We have deaf people all over the place. And you don't ask yourself why and how. Why do we have blind people everywhere? Why do we have crippled? Why do we have the deaf? When these religious personnel, these religious con artists, as I call them, they claim to heal all of these things. And we have this type of people in our society. And you don't ask yourself why. And when they heal, they never heal somebody you know. They're always healing people that you cannot identify. Why do we have people in all of our hospitals and in all of our traditional healing homes when these religious con artists claim to heal? Why is everybody not okay? It has become weird and abnormal to reason in Africa. Even as I'm saying these things now, one Eberima somewhere is doing like this. They don't want to study anything. They don't want to research anything. Their plan, okay, go to universities today, you see young boys and girls grooming themselves into religious business, like they are warming up to venture into the religious business. We have a problem. We have a problem. It's like a ticking time bomb. We have very young people raising an army of gullible people in Africa. And their target is that private jet lifestyle. You see young boys and girls grooming people. We have a gullible population that are in the majority in Africa. Like Nigeria is 220 million population and counting, right? About 219 million people in that population are gullible people who believe there is someone coming to save them. So you just have less than 1 million people who can do critical thinking, who can reason, who can ask valid, logical questions. So it's just like that. The world is dominated by gullible people. Do you understand? That's even the major reason why we cannot choose a reasonable leader, because we are dominated by very unreasonable people. When you ask questions now, they come for you. When you ask logical questions, say, why is this like this? Why is that like this? Why are these people claiming that they heal and we have people suffering from different ailments all over the country? Hey, there is war. They begin to attack you. They don't want you to spoil their business. We have young people who don't want to be doctors anymore. They don't want to be engineers anymore. They don't want to be teachers. They don't want to be this. They don't want to be that. They just want to be religious con artists, to shift people's reality, to sell hope to them, take their physical cash, enrich themselves. Private jet lifestyle. That's what our young people are aiming. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? By the time everyone becomes gullible, who will educate your children? By the time everyone becomes mentally enslaved, how will your children survive? Our children, our born children, how will they survive? If everybody turns into this mumu that they want everyone to turn to, how do we survive it? Africans, they will perceive danger, they will see danger. Instead of taking away that danger from their people, as I've seen in Western world, Africans embrace that danger, reconstruct it to their own advantage, to enrich themselves. When the Europeans and the Arabs, when they invaded, some Africans saw it as a business opportunity and got involved. That's what we do. We've been doing it from time immemorial. It didn't start today. It did not start today. People don't want to read books anymore. People don't want to. They will go as far as telling you that those histories are not true. Just to justify their inability to study anything. When you read, you are visiting the past. When you read history books, what you are doing is visiting the past. You cannot go back in time physically. But when you read, you are going back in time. if someone writes about everything that has happened in Imo State in the past 4 years, and then people who will be here in the next 400 years, they read those materials, and someone will come and tell them that these are lies. Things that happened in Imo State, and someone wrote it down. Someone wrote it down. People who are not willing to read will say those things are not true. Let me give you a clear example. Let me give you an example. See? See this? See this? The Biafra story. I got this book from London. The Biafra story, the making of an African legend, written by Frederick Forsyth. He's late now, Frederick Forsyth. He's a very good friend of Chukwemeka Odumegwu. This man came to Nigeria, saw things for himself during the Nigeria-Biafra War between 1967 to 1970. He wrote everything down in this book. A very interesting book, detailed. He said things the way he saw them, not for any personal gains or anything, but for me and you to understand. You will not read these books because you don't want to be reminded of who you are. You don't want to be reminded of why things happened the way they happened. I have to end it here. We'll continue next time. Think about your life.